Hiya. Well, if you're anything like me, you've been flying fixed wing planes for the past number of years, and you're looking for something different like helicopters, because you can see that they can do funky acrobatic moves and all sorts of stuff, and are thinking of getting into it, welcome. I think you've come to the right page, or I think you've come to the right place. First off, I'd say there is a guru for all things RC heli, and that's a guy called John Salt. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning, but he is a fantastic resource. If you're looking for information and trying to find out the best way to go about doing it, he's the guy. He's got web pages, e-books. He does tutorial videos where he goes through each day what you should be learning to do. And it's a brilliant resource to go to, particularly when you're waiting for your first heli to arrive. So if you're sensible and you want good guidance, go to that guy. If you're a little bit impulsive and less sensible, have a look at this. This is my top 10 tips of how I would recommend. I'm an absolute novice about flying helis for about a month, but I've learned so much, and I've learned so much about what not to do. So that's why I said I'd make this video. So very first thing I think to do before you even buy your helicopter is practice on a simulator. It's nothing like fixed wing planes where you can buy a trainer plane, off you go, fly slowly, and everything happens nice and calmly. These things can be chaotic. There's no point, even with a gyro, ready to fly system and stuff, going straight to the heli. You need practice, you need to build this muscle memory, because things happen fast and it flies away very fast. So step one, simulator. Just learn to fly gentle maneuvers. The simulator when you're learning, I thought was so I could learn how to do my acrobatic maneuvers before I could even fly the flipping helicopter. I've flown drones very comfortably, and planes. So I thought this should be an easy transition. There's a lot to it. So I'd say when you're going for your simulator and you're just starting out, just learn the basic maneuvers without a gyro ideally, but the basic maneuvers. Don't bother going straight to acro, because when you get your helicopter, that's not what you'll be doing. It's not, trust me. Okay, so step one, once you've done that, it's that. Step two, what's the best helicopter? Well, I did a load of research, and it seems this Ishii 180 was getting loads of recommendations, so this was my first helicopter. This is a brilliant helicopter, but it was a very big mistake for me. It's got huge blades, they spin very fast, they're very dangerous to me or anybody that might be anywhere in the vicinity of where I'm flying, so I always stayed well away from them. But it happens way too fast, and thumped down, damaged it, almost rolled it off. It's fixed and patched. It's got huge potential. But it's not for me, and I'm not here to recommend or not recommend this as a helicopter in general. I'm just saying, as your very first helicopter, this isn't it. What has turned out to be the best first helicopter is this little tweeny XK-K110. This is a beauty. It's small and it's light. Being light, it means it can take crashes quite well. But there's loads of videos out there how people say, this is so indestructible, I've crashed it 100 times and it's grand. That's not so. Not in my hands. So, some crashes are fine, but others are catastrophic. You know, you can shoot through these little tiny plastic gears so easily. Things can break. In fact, I didn't realise it day one when I got my XK, a little plastic tab up here broke, and it meant that it was no longer in control. So, my second advice is buy an XK K110. Buy as many batteries that will go with it as possible, get them ready to fly, and while you're there, buy a second one. Now, I don't have loads of money to be thrown around the place, and I'm guessing you don't either, so I'm not casually suggesting that you just go off and buy a second helicopter, but the fact is, there's every possibility that your very first day you fly, you'll make crap of this, and something will break, and you're left thinking, this hobby is just, no, it's not for me. And actually, it quite possibly is. If you enjoy flying heli, if you enjoy flying fixed wing or drones, it's hugely rewarding once you begin to get the hang of it. But it is sort of necessary to have two very cheap helicopters that you can learn and progress in and start off gently and build up your skills, because these are so capable and they can be so docile to fly, as well as quite aggressive little flyers. So next step, having picked your helicopter, you've got it, and you've tried your simulator for your basic moves, is to pick a field. Not your house, not a room in your house, not your backyard, no place with walls because they'll chew up your blades. Like honestly, my first experience of flying the helis is 90% out of control. You think it's grand, you think you got a gyro that's going to stabilise everything, it doesn't. And once they get a bit of movement going, off they go. So you need a field, you need a very big field, and when you find a field that you think is big enough, go to the next one that's even bigger. And I'm not saying that for the sake of it, it's the reality is they will take off, they'll head off in a direction and you need to be able to run after it. And you can't do that in a small area because it's gone over a hedge or it's gone someplace, it's gone into someone's back garden, disaster. And you're explaining yourself. So pick a really, really big field that you're comfortable that if it does fly away in you, if it does go out of control, you just hit your throttle hold on your radio and it cuts the motor and let the thing drop to the ground. So you need big, big space for that. You don't want this smashing into your back garden, a wall or a shed or a person. So stay well away from people. You can't be far enough away from people. Make sure there's no people. Because even these little blades, they spin fast and they are potentially harmful. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody, I'm just trying to give a quick brief of the things to watch out for. So when you do find your field, start out, yes, use your gyro. It does help, and go with very high rates or very high amounts of expo so that you've made the characteristics very docile, that it'll go quite, that you're able to maintain some degree of control. And literally just fly around the place, get comfortable hovering, hold it in place, and then do your circles, your figure of eights, do everything that you're supposed to do to build up your muscle memory for basic flight. Okay, do that. Do not go for acro. Alright, it's so tempting. I did, of course. So I'm being a hypocrite, but I'm trying to advise. Don't hit that acro button day one. You might succeed in flying. You're 2 batteries in, you're 3 batteries in, you think you can do it, you're going to go up and try for. We're not ready for it. We're just not ready. It will go upside down. Things will happen that you don't know what's happening, and it could come plummeting into the ground and destroy the helicopter, or something else will happen, and it'll only end up discouraging you. You'll think, gee, Max, this is just too difficult. As John Saul recommends, slow and steady, build up your skills. I would say for your first 10 flights, you're doing nothing more than just keeping control of your heli, spinning around, circles, hovering, just totally getting at ease with it, still with your gyro on, which is a huge aid to start with, but it shouldn't be relied on because it's great to get you out of trouble and it's great for those first baby steps, but beyond that you want to try and get away from your gyro as soon as possible. Another tip, try to video yourself if you can, try to video your flying if you can, because things happen so fast it's hard to remember what did you do that made that happen, whereas if you're recording it, you can play it back and look and help learn, teach yourself what you're doing or what you could be doing differently. So then, next step, as your confidence grows, now is the time to go back to the simulator again. But you're going back to your simulator to try something different. Initially you did it just to be able to fly very, very basic maneuvers. Now you're looking to go back and do your idle up, where you're going with a higher motor speed and you're going controlling your positive and negative pitch. That's the time to try this once you've nailed the basic moves. Don't try to do it all, as I said at the start. This is the time, go back, build your muscle memory, try and get as comfortable as possible. And once you've sort of felt pretty good, now go back to the field for a different part of the learning, which is learn to fly in the idle up position. Idle up, gyro off, and very, very low rates. That's the next important step. Idle up, gyro off, very, very low rates. So things are happening as slowly as possible. And now is the time that you're really beginning to learn about what's happening and how you really are in control and what you can do, and how the aircraft is going to respond to your movements. Because once the gyro's off, it's really quite different. And even though you could be on very, very low rates, this will pitch and move a lot. A little bit scary at first. Go up, plenty of height as you're experimenting. When you're ready, 3 mistakes high. You've done it, you've practiced your acro, you're ready to push forward, push on the right hand thumb, you push forward on the left. Let her roll over as she's there, pull her back into negative a small bit, Keep your right stick the same, let it come around again and back into positive. Now that'll either work or it won't work. But be ready to hit the gyro to get you out of trouble. And get back up again and try it again and try it again. And pretty soon you'll actually find, I can do this okay. And I can actually control it after the roll. And that's where I'm at. So I'm at a very, very early stage. I've made mistakes. This is another little beauty here. This poor fella, this looked good as well, the 124, but it's got a very fragile tail there. I've had to glue it and do all sorts. It looks great, but you know, it's fine to have, by the way, but this is the puppy that you really learn. And learn whatever maneuvers you want to learn on this, and then when you have your second helicopter, whatever that's going to be, my recommendation for what I'm choosing to do is the OMP Hobby M1. That seems to be a really, really very, very good next option. But it wouldn't be safe to have bought that as your first helicopter because it possibly would get trashed. This can take a lot. It's not bulletproof by any means, but it's very, very capable. So this is me a month in using the gyro. When you feel you can, that you've got control, flick out of that gyro, get out of it. But be prepared to have to make compensation movements. Everything speeds up. Plenty of height, ready to hit back the gyro switch. We're not in idle up, we're controlling the head speed, which actually makes the heli less stable, because the higher revs will actually make the helicopter more stable. It has its own gyroscopic effect. If we flick into idle, you'll hear the revs go up, bring her back. So this is very close to idle up flying. Just no control over the pitch. No independent control. No, that's idle up. So this is about a month's flying. That's all I can manage to do is flip forwards. I can flip backwards, I suppose. But that's all I should be trying to do till I can get that nailed. I've no business trying anything else. I've learnt that to my cost. I've smashed the E-Sheen E180 and I've gone through a 110 already. It's the second one. So, baby steps. A sim is essential now. Gyro there, because I just didn't know what was happening. That's the beauty having gyro to fall back on. And even just knowing that in a panic situation, that's where you go, that you can flick that gyro back on, is a huge aid. Because things happen super fast, even with this tweeny heli. Like now, I'm doing a savage amount of compensating here, just to get control. Gyro. And this is what happens most of the time. You're in sort of recovery mode, trying to get control back. And I know that's not right, but that's reality. And it's so easy to lose orientation, so easy on a small heli like this. But the small heli is essential because it's light, and that lightness is your friend for crashes, because you're going to crash ridiculous amounts of time.
But it's not failure to flick back to gyro, you know. It's a learning curve, and it's nothing like flying fixed wing. There is no train or a heli that you can just chuck up in the air and off you go. It requires crap loads of learning if you're a middle-aged geezer like me. But it's rewarding when it starts to come together. It really is. Simple maneuvers. Look, the simplest of maneuvers. I just want to do it low, but that's Davey stupid talking. John Salt is your man. He's got so much brilliant factual advice. And he's sensible. But that's my problem, I'm not. But I think there's a lot of us like that. So that's what this video is intended to be for. I think it's time to bring it in. So let's flick back on the gyro, play safe. Try to bring it in. This, like, there's so little control going on here. So little. That's why you need a big field for mistakes. Right. A month in, 30 flights, 30, maybe 40 flights. Go away, come back. That helipad is like the size of a coin to me. That'll do. Throttle hold.
So that's my experience of helicopter flying. I'm still getting a huge buzz. There's been days when I was disheartened when I crashed both helicopters, and I'm thinking I can't afford to keep buying these machines. I need a better way, and the simulator is a saviour. This XKK110, I have no motivation in recommending it other than my own personal experience. Buy two if you can really stretch it, because that way you're going to really learn, and having a second one gives you confidence to try stuff, because you need to be quite aggressive in how you go about doing stuff. If you're letting this thing, if you're in fear of stuff all the time, you won't learn. You need to get a bit of height, try the moves. If it's not working, hit back your gyro, get back in control, and then try it again and again. And pretty soon it'll start clicking. It's beginning to click for me. So I hope you found this video helpful, and look forward to chatting again soon. All the best.